What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only NIO stock and what you should be looking out for the future. I'm also going to break down what the news, data, and technicals are telling us about the overall market and also for NIO, how this may affect the share price moving forward. I'm also going to talk about Tesla spying the QQQ and break down how they also could end up moving based off what we're seeing. Before I break anything down about NIO, though, before I get into any more details about what's going on with the share prices, I'll give you guys my price prediction. I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Make sure you take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire NIO community as a whole. And the last thing is, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link down below in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you're guaranteed up to 5 free stocks, each worth up to $2,000. And the best part is, any can be a free NIO share. The offer ends in just 12 hours. Check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So on Friday, NIO actually underperformed relative to the market, closing down 1.25% for the day. And this was actually not necessarily that great of a piece of news. NIO actually has been underperforming, but it did actually maintain this uptrend that has been forming. So the real question is NIO going to continue to push up, or is NIO going to end up getting a retest of this low down here? And this will be impacted by the overall market and also the news that comes out. Now, I wasn't available to record anything on Friday or Saturday because of a family emergency. Someone in my family did pass away. That was my aunt, and I was actually away during the time. It was very unfortunate, and it really helps us understand the importance of cherishing every moment in life. But everything is fine. I'm doing well, and I'm back now, and I'm going to continue to make these daily update videos. All right, so now for NIO, seeing the fact that it actually underperformed compared to the SPY and the QQQ, which closed green, the real question is, how is it going to move? This will be impacted by many different factors, including the data that's coming out that will affect the whole market and also earnings. So the PMI reports are coming out for tomorrow. This is going to be coming out every 15 minutes from the first 30 minutes. So make sure you are ready for this and you actually watch out for this. This will affect NIO and how the market moves. We have some job numbers coming out, the JOLTS, job openings. That's very important too for Tuesday. But the most important thing for the week in terms of data is going to be the FOMC meeting and the interest rate decision coming out on Wednesday at about 2:30 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday. Make sure you're ready for the press conference. That's going to be very, very important. You have to be ready. It's going to affect NIO and the whole market. Now, for the calendar for earnings, we have SoFi, Norwegian Cruise Line. We have CNA, and not to mention some other ones. We have some energy companies and Shag, all for Monday. Not as impactful as the later days of the week are going to be. Uber, AMD, Pfizer, and Ford are going to be kind of important for Tuesday, especially for the consumer discretionaries for Ford's side. For Wednesday, we have CVS, a couple of other ones. Thursday is going to be a big day. We have Lyft, Shopify, and the notorious Apple reporting earnings. Apple is going to be huge. Expect a big reaction on Friday. Then we also have AMC and a couple of others on Friday too. So very, very important earnings are coming out. I also want to add that SPY had 1 million puts expiring with a 2.04 put to call ratio on Friday. That's why the market saw a short squeeze. We could see a repeat of that as we have about 800,000 puts out of the money so far. That would be very interesting with a 2.26 put to call ratio. It's very possible for us to get a repeat. NIO is underperforming with a very low price ratio, however. Excuse me, sorry guys. However, NIO is underperforming. It's not necessarily too strong. And the real question is, could NIO finally get a bounce since it's so oversold on that end? NIO tends to be green only about 49% of the time on Mondays. And also, April tends to be a decent month. We're actually green only 50% of the time for April's. And the short interest has been dropping. We only saw 4 million NIO shares shorted just a few days ago, so that is a slight improvement. And finally, we are seeing some good news coming out for NIO. Now, I also want to add that there's the news that came out about NIO starting deliveries on the flagship EC7 SUV, which has about 584 miles of range. So very, very interesting stuff. Amazing SUV, looks very stylish and very, very awesome. It has lots of aerodynamic features as well. And it's very, very awesome. It's an amazing car that has different batteries that are actually accessible for different users. You could actually choose between 75 kilowatt hours to 100 to 150, and etc. So very, very awesome car. It is quite expensive though because it is luxurious in China. 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds with $70,000 being the base price in China. So awesome, awesome SUV. It is expensive as it is luxurious, but I do consider this good news for NIO. Now, NIO also had pretty decent volume, almost 40 million. So volume is starting to come back for NIO on Friday, and the short volume is dropping just a bit, which is a slight improvement. Now, NIO also noted that they actually have a cumulative mileage traveled of over 10 billion kilometers, and they have over 320 plus thousand users around the world. So their base is continuing to grow. Great news for NIO. Very proud of them. Now let's talk about the charts just very briefly. NIO is just trading sideways, not really doing a whole lot. We do have this gap above though. So there's a chance NIO may make an attempt to do so thanks to the new deliveries report. But I do see a problem with NIO pushing. I do think there's a chance NIO has been like uptrending, trying to get above 8. We'll see if she could get above 8. If she breaks above $8 and holds it, she's going to likely fill this gap at 8.27. If she fails to break above 8, there's a good chance she's going to come back down to retest 7.6. But 7.6 has been some good support as we have a demand zone right there. So NIO is going to likely stay within those bounds. We'll see how it goes. This will depend on SPY. I will give you guys more details about NIO in a second. On SPY, please note that this thing is going to hit some major resistance between 416. If that breaks, then maybe around 418. Very strong resistance there. It's going to likely actually reject and pull back a little bit first. But then this could be a pullback or maybe some sideways action approaching the FOMC meeting. Then I would say that the big reaction will come after FOMC. Because the Fed is getting closer to pausing, the market might actually not necessarily tank because of it. We might see the market get a big reaction, like a big drop, then a push up and a drop. But then it might just try to push right back up after FOMC, and then everything will depend on Apple's earnings after that. So I'm seeing a bit of a pullback approaching FOMC. I think it's very likely, and that is what's going to affect NIO. For Tesla, it depends on how this thing moves. If Tesla is able to break 165 to 166, it's going to fly for 170. If Tesla fails to hold 164, it's going to come down to 163. If that fails, 160 will come. Which one is more likely to happen? It's very tricky to predict at this point. I do think the market's going to actually make an attempt to pull back. So maybe Tesla pushes up a little more to 166, maybe even 168. Then it pulls back a little bit. Completely fine. But Tesla also has some relative strength. So a slight pullback followed by another push-up should come later on. I am anticipating it's going to drop then rally. It's either going to drop and rally in one day, or it could maybe drop approaching FOMC and then rally a little bit later. But I do think there's a good chance Tesla will try to get to 170 because it has some nice strength right now. It's holding up nicely. Let's see if it can break this 160 area. All right, so that's what I'm seeing on Tesla. It's going to pull back, okay, maybe as soon as Monday, and then it rallies up to 170 later on, or it could all happen in one day. It's got to be one of those two most likely. I still think Tesla has some strength. It's looking pretty decent so far, holding up a lot better. Let's see how this goes. For the QQQ, it is overbought. It has a bearish divergence, so we're likely going to see a slight pullback. But if it could actually hold quite nicely above the 50 EMA. So even if we do get a slight pullback, that's completely fine. And then it could actually continue to rally after FOMC or maybe after Apple's earnings, depending on how those go. Because you have to remember, the market makers are going to try to squeeze shorts again this Friday. They're going to try to do it. They may use Apple as an excuse to do it. If Apple does not give us what we want, then the opposite could end up happening. But anyways, I'm still very, very open-minded to any possibility. I just am anticipating a bit of a pullback in the market first before we do see a bullish continuation. For NIO, if you look at this on the 1 hour time frame, once again, trading sideways, not doing a whole lot. On the daily time frame, NIO looks like this. We have an indecision candle so far, so it still is kind of choppy, not doing a whole lot. Wednesday, not Wednesday, I'm sorry. Did I say Wednesday? I meant the weekly. Sorry about that, guys. The weekly is still not looking that strong. There's a possible reversal candle. It just needs more confirmation. So for NIO, I'm not really seeing a whole lot on the daily or weekly. I think it's very likely NIO is going to make an attempt to go up. Could try to test this 18.14 area. Maybe fill the gap. I'm not too sure about that. Then it's going to likely reject and come right back down to 7.6. because I think the market's going to cool off a little bit. But then by the time we get to Wednesday, when FOMC comes, we might see a really nice bounce and a rally in the markets. It's very possible either that or maybe even Apple could cause it, because once again the shorts might try to squeeze not the shorts, the market makers may try to squeeze the shorts again. All right, that's what tends to happen. So make sure you guys are open-minded. And with that said, I thank you all so much for listening. All right, so I am anticipating a bit of a pullback in the markets. Be open-minded to it and be ready for it just in case before we do see another big move. Until then, I thank you all for listening. Have an absolutely spectacular weekend. Remain calm, cool, and collected, and I'll see you guys in the next one. NIO to the moon, because the long-term future is still incredibly bright. And peace out.